Hey everyone, it's Brenda Stolier, Mashable's tech reporter, and today we are unboxing something that I'm actually genuinely excited about, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 2 5G. I think I said that correctly. These names keep getting longer and longer and far more difficult to remember. But before we actually open this bad boy up, there are a few things we should probably address about the history of the Fold, particularly the show that was the launch of the first Fold. Samsung launched its first foldable back in February of last year at Mobile World Congress, and everyone was super excited until the event happened and the phone was announced, and we all realized that this phone was kept and going to be kept behind a glass display. So that meant that no one could touch it. Literally, we could just stare at it, which is fine. I mean, it wasn't clearly ready, but it obviously raised some red flags because it's like, what are you trying to hide? And then things started to get a little bit weirder when the review units were only being shipped out to certain tech reporters and certain tech reviewers, and that was red flag number 2. Then it all started to make sense because those same tech reporters and tech reviewers were writing articles and posting on social media that their Galaxy Folds were breaking, whether it was the screen was peeling off or the display just stopped working altogether. It was obvious that this thing was just not durable. Samsung basically took that and went back to the drawing board and added a layer of metal underneath the glass display to obviously make sure that this didn't happen again and to make sure that it was more durable and not so easy to break. Then Samsung released the Galaxy Z Flip, and that definitely had a far more successful launch, particularly because of two things: the ultra thin glass and the freestanding hinge. So Samsung decided to take those elements and incorporate it into the Z Fold 2. So the ultra thin glass is basically glass with a layer of plastic over it, and having used the Z Flip myself, it definitely feels durable. Even though I only spent a short time with the Z Flip, I didn't feel like I had to be super careful with it, and the glass just felt really nice and weirdly practical, as if I had been using a foldable display all along. And then the freestanding hinge just added more use cases for it. With the freestanding hinge, it makes it a lot easier to either video chat or even just prop the phone up and watch Netflix. It also makes watching YouTube videos easier because you can watch the video up top and also comment on the bottom. Selfies are also really fun. So the hinge just adds a lot more things that you can do with it. And so what Samsung did is they took these very successful traits from the Z Flip and they injected it into the Z Fold 2, which makes sense. They simply just took what works and placed it into the Z Fold 2. Of course, all of this remains to be seen. I still have to actually spend some time with the device and review it and test all of its features, including durability, so hopefully this thing doesn't break on me. But with all of that being said, let's dive into the actual specs. Let's open it up. Okay, let's start unboxing this. So it's got that nice mystic bronze color even on the box. How do we... Ooh. Nice. Okay, so let's start with this because I think it might be the care instructions, perhaps, of... Nope, it is just the SIM card. Oh yes, here they are. Do not press the screen or the front camera lens with a hard or sharp object like a pen or a fingernail. When folding the device, make sure there's no objects such as cards, coins, or keys placed in between the screens because that'll cause damage. Don't remove the screen protector film. And do not install other films or stickers, as doing so may cause product damage. And your device contains magnets. Keep a safe distance between your device and objects that may be affected by magnets. Okay, so basically it's telling you to not mess with the screen. This comes with a screen protector pre-installed. So, oh my gosh, I'm like actually terrified. So here it is. I'm like actually really scared to take this off right now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's kind of heavy, not gonna lie. Oh, okay. Durability test number 1. Oh my gosh, this is like, oh wow, it just keeps going and going. Wow. Oh my gosh. So you have the 7.6-inch AMOLED display as the main screen, which is bigger than the 7.3 inches on the original Fold. And then here you have the 6.2-inch Super AMOLED display, which is bigger than the 4.6-inch cover display on the original. So here we have that hinge. This feels like really, really nice. Wow. I mean, it's thick for sure. Just like folding it open and closed, wow. I mean, I've always loved the freestanding hinge on the Galaxy Z Flip. So I pretty much knew what to expect, but wow. I mean, even just holding it one-handed, that feels really nice. So you have the glass on the front and it feels matte, so it's got a very similar look actually as well, but I'm gonna say look and feel to the Note 20 Ultra. Obviously the camera bump is pretty thick on this one. We'll get into the cameras in a bit, but overall this thing feels really, really nice, super premium, and I don't feel like I need to be fragile with it. I mean, this is definitely like a form factor that I'm certainly not used to, but it already feels like I've had it for a while. I can just imagine, you know, checking my notifications here or even just scrolling through stuff here and then opening it up and using it. Before we power it on, let's just talk about that freestanding hinge. So basically, you'll obviously be able to see it better when I turn the phone on, but you can angle it this way to either video chat, but it also just feels a lot more durable, I'd say. Otherwise, you're just literally flipping it open and flipping it closed, but this gives it just, I don't know, like a cushion, like a cushion almost, that just makes opening it and closing it a lot better, in my opinion. Oh, one thing I do want to mention again is that ultra thin glass that it uses, which I'll talk about as I power it on. This again is basically glass with a layer of plastic over it. Of course, you have the screen protector, so you should be good with this one. Again, there are care instructions, so you shouldn't be peeling that baby off. Okay, it is turned on. I did go through the setup process already, so magic. Okay, so let's start with the cover display. So you obviously have your notifications. You can also use the cover display as you would the phone normally. So you can go through all of your apps, check your calls, you can even send texts. So that's really nice. You don't always have to open the phone up each time when you want to, you know, fully use it. You also have the Edge panel available, so you can access your apps as well, and it'll even launch 2 of them. So you have that split screen display. So that is on the outside, and then you open it up. So you have the 120 hertz refresh rate with this particular phone, which is really nice because it just makes scrolling through a lot smoother when you're scrolling through Twitter or Instagram, even through your emails. So it just feels a lot nicer, and it's basically becoming the standard for flagship phones at this point. Here you have the Edge panel where you can access all of your apps that you so choose to add in here. Obviously, I just turned the phone on, so these were the standard ones that were already there for me, but let me show you an example. So basically, it launches them simultaneously. You can choose which ones you want to use that you typically pair together, if that's like, I don't know, Spotify and Twitter, or Gmail and text messages. You can also adjust exactly how much you want of the app to take up the display with each. And then this allows you, like the original Fold, to go up to 3 apps at a time. So let's try that. Okay, and then you have the multi-window apps. So let me open up Google, and then you can also open up, what else do we want to open? You can open up Maps, so you just drop it here. And then, let's see, I guess we can also do YouTube. So you can drop it here. So now you have up to 3 apps on there at the same time, if that's the amount of multitasking that you're looking for. So now let's get into the cameras. So on the back, you have a triple camera module with 12 megapixel sensors down the line. So you have the ultra wide and the wide angle, and then the telephoto lens. So they're obviously not as intense as what you would find on the S20 Ultra, which had the 108 megapixel sensor, but then also the standard S20 and the S20 Plus had 64 megapixels, and then it's also not what you're gonna find on the Note 20, which have the same exact lineup. So they definitely played it a little safe with these cameras, and it's also a bit of a downgrade from the original because that one had a 16 megapixel, and so yeah, you're kind of sacrificing a bit in terms of cameras with this one. And then there's the 10 megapixel cover display camera, and then also a 10 megapixel camera on the inside with the front facing. So what's cool is that they did add some camera features though to maybe make up for the fact that these sensors are not as intense. One cool thing that I'm actually excited to try is the ability to use the rear cameras for selfies. So let's actually try it out. So basically, you're gonna be able to see yourself here on the cover display. So that's really useful when someone else is taking a photo of you, and you wanna see exactly what they're getting, so it's not a surprise after the fact. And also your selfies are just gonna be a bit more high quality since you're using the 12 megapixels instead of the 10 megapixels. I mean, it's not that huge of a difference, but you know. So you're gonna go here, you're gonna open up the camera app, and then in the corner, there's this little toggle, and then you flip it, and you can see my head is the camera. But obviously I will have a more in-depth example of that later on as I continue to review it, but it's super useful because that way, again, like when someone's taking a photo of you or you're just taking a selfie, you can see yourself, which is nice. As far as additional specs go, like the processor and battery, this has a Snapdragon 865 Plus processor with 5G, and it supports both sub-6 and millimeter wave capabilities. And then as far as the configurations go, it does only come in one. So you're gonna get the 12 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of internal storage. And as far as battery goes, it actually has a slightly bigger battery than the original Fold. So it has a 4,500 milliamp hour as opposed to a 4,380 milliamp hour battery on the first Fold. As far as first impressions go, this again feels really nice. I think that for $2,000, this is what the first Fold probably should have felt like. Another thing that's worth pointing out is I have very small hands, although they probably look big on this camera, but even just one-handed, I mean, obviously this thing is not meant to be used one-handed when open, but it also isn't too bad. I don't feel like it's completely unwieldy, especially when like snapping a photo. I think I should be pretty okay, but then I also, of course, obviously just really love how small it gets when it folds. Okay, let's see what else we get in the box because I was too excited to open the phone. And so you also get a charging brick, fast charge capabilities, and then you also get the USB-C charging cable. The original Fold did come with Galaxy Buds in the box, which makes sense because, I mean, you're paying some money to get a product, and so they threw those in there. But this time around, unfortunately, all you get is a charging brick and a cable. We have officially unboxed it in all of its foldable glory. And just, again, based on first impressions, I'm gonna say that Samsung is rightfully confident about this phone. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I am sure I will find something to critique it about. Of course, that's just a given with any phone. But, I mean, the minute I took this thing out of the box, I felt like I had been using this phone for a while. It doesn't feel like I need to be super careful with it. Of course, I know that I do, but the display feels super smooth and super durable. The hardware just feels very expensive, which it should for a $2,000 phone. And again, I can't make any final judgment calls or decisions, so I'm just gonna say that based on this unboxing, I'm hopeful. As far as availability goes, the Z Fold 2 will be available for pre-order starting September 2nd and will officially go on sale September 18th. So in the meantime, I'm gonna start using this as my primary device, and I will definitely keep you guys posted on any first impressions and initial thoughts, but be sure to check back soon for my full review on Mashable.